No, he agrees with everything with the exception of Kabbalah. I mean, he believes in Kabbalah, but he says that it's optional to believe. He believes it, he wants to believe it. And that's the healthy approach. I was even talking to Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. He's probably the most famous Mekubal on the internet. And he told me the same thing. It's like an optional philosophy to adopt, but it's not Torah. He doesn't believe that the Zohar was written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And this is Rabbi Ariel Bar Sadok. He's all over. He's a lot more popular than I am. So there are rational Mekubalim out there who teach it like creative writing, who are able to make a distinction between halachah and hagim, midrashim. Now, the vast majority of the teachers you see online lump it in together because they don't know any better. They're just doing whatever their teacher taught them. So it's really bad leadership.
Also, a majority of the Mekubalim will tell you that if you reject the Zohar and you reject Kabbalah B'chlal, you'll be considered a kofer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, someone told me that this Shabbos. Now, I don't say that I reject the Zohar. I just say it's optional to believe. Saying that, it's like you burned it because it's a Zohar Kadosh.
Right.
I'm not against people studying the Zohar, but I have a problem when people say Torah teaches and they'll quote the Tanya or Sefer Bahir. No, Torah is Torah, and Torah Shebektav is Torah Shebektav, and Torah Shebal Peh is Torah Shebal Peh. But the Zohar is not Torah Shebal Peh.
People aren't able to get that through their head, and I actually had a conversation about that recently. Like literally in a Sfarim store here in Eretz Yisrael, that I was trying to tell someone that the difference between the Torah Shebal Peh, Torah Shebechsav, and the Zohar Kodesh and Midrashim, and how I don't see how the Shulchan Aruch can justify itself by paskening by the Zohar. And I was basically the thing that is most bothersome about the whole conversation is that if you bring cold facts, you bring Mamari Chazal, you bring Torah Shebechsav, you bring Mishnayos, what's the response? Like 99.9% of the time, you think you know more than this and this and this.
Right.
I check out the conversation.
I don't know anything, but my Rebbe knows everything, and you're telling me you know more than he does. But
right.
This is Brenty. Like you're the Breslover guy, right?
Yeah. Well, not anymore, but yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Never.
No,
you were like our inside guy.
Yeah, I basically since the last time we spoke, I made moves to leave basically.
Were you a Nanach or were you just like a serious Breslov?
Serious Breslov. My wife just complained I was being too loud.
Oh, it's probably like 3 a.m. over there.
It's 5:30.
You see, like if you were a Breslov, like you'd have an excuse to wake up so early. It's like at 2 a.m. you wake up, right? So Dennis Prager had this commentary on Chumash called the Rational Bible. Dennis Prager grew up he's not from Orthodox standards nowadays. He asked his rabbi, how do you control your Yetzer Hara? He's like, my Yetzer Hara, I can control. It's my Yetzer Tov that I have a problem with. And if you think about it, that's the problem that the vast majority of people have. Controlling their evil inclination. I mean, who does anything thinking that they're doing evil? Like a handful of psychotics in the world. So the vast majority of people destroy the world trying to do the right thing. And I know many people use the whole notion of Gehenna and your evil inclination and Shadam and Ayin Hara and all these kind of nonsensical things that we can't relate to. Stories of serial killers. Now, yes, serial killers do exist, but I'm sure the vast majority of people who do the most garbage in this world do it because they think they deserve whatever they're stealing from you.
Did you ever talk to Dennis Prager about Yom Tov Sheni?
No, I've never had a halachic conversation with him. I mean, I'm pretty sure like he doesn't keep it.
There's a famous video of him saying that someone asked him why he's not from, and he said 3 words: Yom Tov Sheni.
Tafik the Rabban lehakel. Rabbi David Bar Chaim came out the video proving from the Mishnah that even in Eretz Yisrael, they only kept 1 day of Rosh Hashanah. Right. Nowadays, even in Yerushalayim, they keep 2 days. Right. I mean, there's ways around it. I don't know, like if he has the best understanding of halakha, right? Because I see him endorse Chabad a lot. Although he's one of the only people I've heard who believes in proselytizing. I believe in proselytizing from the beginning, and then I found out that he was involved in it.
I like Bar Chaim's approach to that, as far as that the ger should know what social pressures and rejections he may face becoming part of Klal Yisrael. I think that's very smart.
That could be smart in the sense of his personal opinion, but it goes against the halacha. But so the halacha says exactly what we tell a potential convert when he comes. And it's basically reiterated 3 times. No one really says anything different. Right? It's in your idea and the Shulchan Aruch and your Surabi and the Rambam and Yevamos by Chazal. And it says that you tell him some of the mitzvahs and not too many of them, lest he turn from the good path back to the bad path. And then we tell him, unlike what the Rambam personally believed, that only Israel has a chelik in Olam Haba. It's not that we're supposed to discourage him with, yes, because the Jewish people are so screwed up, we're going to modify Torah to fit our misbehavior. No, it's the other way around.
Well, I think I think what I would say, not in response, because you're just quoting the halacha, so you can't really. There's not much to argue with. I can't argue with Chazal about what they said in Shas. But what I can say is, though, I have come across from just being around Baal Tshuva circles and whatever, a good amount of Gerim that have mentioned that they regret either becoming part of the Haredi community, which is a different sugya, but joining Klal Yisrael without realizing, like, I'm not going to be able to marry the Rebbe's daughter, for a lack of a better expression.
That's funny. My friend, his mother's Jewish, his father's not Jewish. So anyways, like, he was in a class with his Rebbe, which was Rav Moshe Weinberger. He's pretty well known. And then he was talking about, like, not knowing that this guy's father wasn't Jewish, how he wouldn't marry his daughter off to someone whose both parents weren't Jewish. And then he was so heartbroken, because he's like, this guy's my Rebbe, and I don't know if he wasn't shitting his daughter. But you know what? I'm not sure if I would want my daughter to marry a convert either, just because converts bring a lot of baggage into the mix. Now, that's a reasonable reason. If you say that converts are intrinsically less or intrinsically on a lower level is one thing, but if you say that it's true, like if someone just came to Torah 5 years ago and your daughter's been in Beis Chana, Beis Rachel, Beis Yaakov her whole life, it's not shaykh. So I understand it from one perspective, but I've met people who just believe that if you're a convert, you're a dummy, even though you converted when you were 3 years old.
Right. That's also true. That's definitely true.
Well, here, actually, yesterday, I was speaking with someone who is like part of the organization in the communities. And he was speaking about two people specifically, like one of them who has social problems. Like he has very hard problems to socially adapt to the Jewish community. So it is like his wife was not accepted in the mikveh one time, and they didn't call anyone, and they didn't spoke with the rabbi, so it was hard to help him. But and the other one is like he moved to the community, and now he's having a very, very hard time to pay off everything. So sometimes that's why sometimes I do understand.
I was talking to people in England. England, although you can convert in England, they have the hardest conversion process. They actually have a system that in order to convert, an Orthodox family in the community has to adopt you for a year. You have to live with them in their house for a year in order to convert in England. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, the most intrusive, right? I mean, one, who's going to do that? It's like they don't trust you that much. They want to see that you can live like a Jew for a year. I mean, what bothers me is that they don't do the same thing with a Choser B'Tshuva. Honestly, even I think it's the Ramah who holds like Rabbi Akiva that even Baal Tshuva has to go to the mikvah too, right? I mean, what's the difference? It's two people that were far away who came back. Huh?
Were you talking about the London Beis Din?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have all kinds of crazy laws. A 3 year minimum is also part of the deal.
That's crazy. At least it's possible.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know if there are people who I know will be in the same situation that these people, and sometimes I didn't have these feelings 1 month ago, but this month I am like, okay, so am I doing good for them to help them convert when they are going to suffer all this? I start to wonder this. And I know that this is wrong, and sometimes I just don't know what to do in this kind of situation.
Anyone who converts nowadays, they're like a pawn that you're basically just throwing them into the fire, and that's the thing. There's gonna have to be a lot of people who are gonna suffer before things get better. It's like we're building a bridge with people, and it's a shame, but this is the way things work. I mean, it's just like countries who get regimes toppled. Right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of good people who have to die in order for things to change. So I think that's something. That's a reason to warn them, not to discourage them, because if you keep on discouraging them, then things are never going to change. There's enough converts in there that people could relate to and say, hey, don't treat converts bad because my friend's a convert and I know that there's a crisis. then things will slowly change. But if nobody converts, if everybody listens to David Bar Chaim and just becomes a Noahide, then things will never improve. And worse, there'll be more Noahides, this nonsensical organization that has no sense of nothing. Other kids are probably going to go off because they have no place to daven. They have no place to meet up. They have no women to date. So, I mean, it's like any battle.
Would you say the main reason that there's a crisis is because of the Rabbanut and the RCA?
Because of Eretz Yisrael. I mean, it's because of Medinas Yisrael. Before the state of Israel, conversions were done in a week. In South America, the Syrian rabbi who created the Takana outlawed conversions for the stupidest reasons. It's because like secular Jews in South America were basically just converting Gentile women to marry them. So now, I mean, they just marry them without converting. So what's the difference? So he outlawed conversions completely to force Jewish guys to marry Jewish girls who are secular anyways. It's stupid. But I've heard stories that in Europe, even 100 years ago, conversions took like a week. That people weren't so worried. I mean, they were happy when someone wanted to convert. It's common sense.
I know. Uh-huh. I knew people. Not even that long ago. I knew people before like things were so established that for example, different communities around America, that rabbis, the people that had conservative conversions or people who are interested in Orthodox conversions, the rabbis were even encouraging them to go to the Beis Din. This is like 40 years ago, not 200 years ago.
Well, actually, in the problem here in Mexico, I think it stems from what happened in Argentina, because the Syrians started in Argentina and then it continued to Mexico with Syrians, the same Syrians. But then the other communities, since the Syrians the Syrians is the most influential community and the ones who set the rules, maybe for all of them, maybe. And
they have the money.
Yes, actually, and they started to influence all the other people around them, and it started with the secular people initially, but also now the religious people. Not everyone, but there's a lot of them who, like the younger, the worst, I think it is. That they start to have that same mentality, and it's getting like it's like a sickness which is spreading to all the community, which I think this is a problem. And it's interesting what you said about the and actually, okay, before that, and yes, I think it's been a little bit more of a problem with the RCA and with the Rabbanut wanted to centralize everything. I think that made things even worse, because now they have like a backup to continue with the same mentality that they had. And it's interesting what you said about the having like to a war, and like sadly we will need to have victims, or to a human bridge that people will need to suffer to have a change. And it's interesting, like it's very sad on the one way, but I think it sounds very true.
Right. The vast majority of people who convert nowadays, I believe, convert for the wrong reasons. Now, they're still valid converts. It doesn't really matter why you convert. I mean, if you convert for marriage, it's still a kosher conversion. But I think that because there's so many people coming from the Messianic movement, and every Messianic person I've met from a Spanish country, they all say they're Bnei Anusim. I've never met a Hispanic Jew convert or someone sympathetic to Torah who's not Bnei Anusim. I mean, these people, they love everything Israeli. They love everything Jewish. And it seems like they want to convert just to hang around Jews. That's the wrong reason to convert. I remember right after I converted, I moved to Israel to learn yeshiva, and I was so disappointed. Because one, the Israelis were jerky. They're still jerky. People cutting in line, ripping out. I mean, I was very, very disappointed. And it took some time, because even when I converted, I romanticized the Jewish people and Jewish culture. It took some time, but now I don't. Now I think clear enough to be able to help people focus on what they should be focusing on. And that's trying to live a better life, a proper life with holy instructions. And that's it. Forget about the Jewish people. Most converts, they'll listen to Israeli music, and I'm like, this is secular Israeli music, right? Why? Because it's in Hebrew? It's so nonsensical that while the secular hate the religious, especially in Israel. Whatever.
Every rabbi says now, don't judge Judaism by the Jews.
Yeah, it's a shame. Anyways, all right.
It's your life. Like they're in in where you live. Like do you have problems taking your kids to a religious Jewish school or stuff like that, or how do you have your life.
Well, in America, it's not an issue. If you convert through a recognized Beit Din, my daughter's in Beit Yaakov. My son goes to Lubavitch. I didn't put him there. My ex-wife put him in Lubavitch, but whatever. I mean, he came home with a picture of the Rebbe the other day. My son. Okay. In America, conversions are accepted, probably because people are a little more affluent. There isn't such a gap between rich and poor in America like there is in Mexico. In Mexico, you're either rich or you're poor. It's rare there's people in the middle. While here in North Miami Beach, housing is affordable. Like, it's not that much different than anywhere else in Miami. Now, the richer Jews go to the fancier shuls, but the frommer Jews, like the frum areas, are typically the poor areas. I mean, that's typically how it is all over America, right? Baltimore, Brooklyn. Right? Now, Brooklyn is expensive because it's in New York, but not because it's a nice area. But in South America, the Jewish neighborhoods are in the fancy parts because they're mostly like Israelis and just Jews who have a lot of money and businesses. So it's almost like Manhattan in every Jewish community in Latin America.